Because when women realize who we are and what we have to offer,
Yeah, it's unique and special.
it is. It's like it's so powerful, and it just. I mean, you can see the look on my face. I know in a podcast you can't see the look on my face, but it just lights me up to see another woman being lit up. Like, and there's no competition. There's room for all of us because all of us have different gifts to share. And when we do that, I remember there was something, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago, the Dalai Lama said that it's the Western woman who's going to save the world. And I remember thinking, like, are you kidding me? Now we got to do that too? And the thing that I love about entrepreneur women is there's this big shift for us as, like, making money, earning money with the skills, the value, all that we offer is like that transaction is it's like it's giving and receiving value. That's what it is, and money is the way we measure it. And it's so powerful when a woman is like, yes, I created this. Like, we're creators, we create things, it's how we roll.
And now let's dive into today's episode where we'll meet a phenomenal guest, Julie Ulstrup. Julie is a leadership accelerator for women, fervently dedicated to empowering women to embody strength, confidence, and beauty in their lives and brands. An acclaimed leader, photographer, and transformative speaker, Julie guides her clients to unearth their brilliance. In this episode, she shares her personal story of transformation and gives all kinds of good tips on how you can bring your own brilliance to life. Prepare to be captivated by this radiant spirit. Let's get to know Julie. Well, welcome to Extraordinary Women Radio. Julie, it is so great to have you with us today.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here, Cami.
Yeah, and we've gotten to know each other through EWomen Network, which is, so many of our community, we meet through that community. And it's been really fun getting to know you, see some of your journey. You were the managing director for Northern Colorado for a while, and you've just shifted out of that role, and you're really putting your focus in on your role. So I'm looking forward to hearing some of your wisdom, some of your stories. And I want to really dive in. First of all, I was listening to your TEDx talk, which was fantastic, by the way. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah. And your talk is how to transform the way you see yourself. And let's start with that story of you walking the Camino de Santiago solo.
Yes.
I mean, I think it's one thing to even go on to say I'm going to go do the Camino de Santiago, but to do it solo, it takes a lot of courage. So,
Thank you.
really, yeah, I want to hear what led up to that trip, and if you could share a bit of what happened.
Absolutely. Well, the Camino de Santiago, if for people who don't know, it's an ancient pilgrimage that in fact goes across Europe, and it's known as the Way of the Stars because it's under the ley lines of the Milky Way. And I would like back up, rewind about a year before I went on the walk. I used to work as a school counselor. I have 20 years of experience working with middle school, high school, and the university level students and their families. And so there was an opportunity for me to go on sabbatical. And I worked at a school where there were a lot of Spanish speakers. And I thought, this is something I had always wanted to do. I was in my 40s and I was like, I really wanted to live overseas and I wanted to have that, kind of like exchange student experience. So I put in for a sabbatical. I got it. I decided to live in southern Spain with this family that was just incredible. And I met people from all over the world, which is just really part of
What an opportunity.
Yeah, it's really, a huge part of my values. When I was young, my grandmother and grandfather lived in Norway. So I have a family that has been, lived around the world. I'm a first generation American. So exploring Spain like that was just a really great opportunity for me to be immersed in culture and language and to my surprise, although, we know all of this now, right? I learned so much about myself. And I decided for the last month that I was going to walk on the Camino de Santiago, this ancient pilgrimage. It's a spiritual pilgrimage, it's a historic pilgrimage, it's a cultural pilgrimage, and people come from all across Europe to converge in Compostela de Santiago. And the legend is that St. James the Lesser, one of the disciples, is buried there. And there's a story about, that. And so people have been walking this route for thousands of years. The Knights Templar guard it. And I thought, I'm going to do this. I'm going to take my last month of my sabbatical and I'm going to walk on the Camino de Santiago. So I started April 1st, which it doesn't the Camino doesn't close or open. But, there aren't any facilities available. That's when the albergues open. And an albergue would be like it's a walk-up Airbnb. They're sponsored by Spain, the Spanish government, and I don't even know what to maybe like a hostel. Some of them, maybe there might have been 50 people in there, and some of them there might have been like 6. So yeah, I decided to walk by myself. I left Alicante, Spain. I flew to Zaragoza. I took a train to Pamplona, and then I took a taxi to get to Saint Jean Pied de Port, which is just over the border of Spain and France. And that's where I started my walk. It's a 300-mile walk. Actually, it's about a 600-mile walk. And I thought, oh, I'm going to walk it in 3 weeks. I had my flight back to the US. I'm like, I was running marathons at the time. I'm like, I'm just going to walk, 26 miles a day, 40K a day, right? Yeah, you're laughing, right? But that's what I do. I dream big, I go
Dream big, yeah.
big. Yeah. And so I got up the first morning and I, like I said, I went by myself. One of the things that I really liked, or like you said, one of the things that I really, when I was taking the taxi into Saint Jean Pied de Port, my taxi driver thought that I was he did not think that I was an American. My Spanish had gotten to be that good. So,
It's amazing.
Yeah, it really was. And so that part of my journey is also a transformative experience that I really don't talk about that much. So I got up the first morning. My plan was to walk by myself. The first part from Saint Jean Pied de Port to Spain is over the mountains and I'm not gonna tell you about all 3 weeks, but my plan was to walk. I'm not gonna tell you every day, but my plan was to walk 26 miles a day, and I carried a huge pack on my back because I had my camera with me and I had my laptop because I blogged.
Yeah.
And every pilgrim's office that I went into, they're like, are you sure you want to take that? You don't want to mail something home? I'm like, nope, I'm good. And yeah, so, I got a workout, and the first day I hiked over the mountains. I met a group of people who ended up being friends. We walked together. We shared stories. They were from all over the world. Spain, East Berlin, South Africa, South Korea. It was a remarkable experience. Do you want me to share the part from the TED Talk, or should we direct people to watch I can share.
Yeah, I want to know what you learned from this, right? I think that's the most important thing here is so it was harder, right? It was definitely harder for you than you anticipated.
Yes, it was harder than I anticipated. And so I adjusted my journey, which we do. This is one of the lessons of entrepreneurs, okay, adjust the journey. And after that very first day, instead of going fast as very American trait, right? And
right.
Very much as I had planned. I was like, no, I'm going to make this a fat journey, and I'm going to enjoy, and I'm going to meet people. And I did. And I had, in addition to what I refer to as the miracle in that tiny church, I had so many deep, profound moments. I still am in touch with some of the people who I met on the Camino. And in fact, I'm headed back this fall to not to walk on the Camino de Santiago, but to visit the family that I stayed with. And I'm going to be in Spain for a while. So,
The
yeah.
miracle that happened in the church was, um, what was the, I know that, can you hit on that just a bit?
Yeah, well, the miracle that happened in the church was really for me a transformation and an awakening of not letting somebody else define me and not hiding my brilliance anymore, not playing small. It's all these like it was really coming out of this very dark time and saying, no, this is not who I am. I'm not small. I'm not going to live small. I'm going to live big. I have so much to offer. And like, I didn't go there seeking transformation,
Right.
but that's what happened. And
Yeah.
it was truly incredible. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I think that what's important here is that opportunities show up for us and we say yes to them, we step into them. We,
Yes.
literally you were stepping into it, step by step by step.
Yes.
And what unfolds is like a next evolution of our journey, right? That
Yes.
spiral journey that we're always on, that journey of discovery and exploration. And sometimes we can be oblivious to what those journeys are going on around us. And
Yes.
sometimes we can really acknowledge what happens, and that's where the big growth really happens. And I think that's what really happened for you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And it was something that was, all divine planned and all of that, which of course I didn't know at the time, but
Right.
when I got there, I was like, wow, this is
Yeah.
really remarkable.
So definitely go listen to Julie's TEDx. It's a great one. And just you can hear more of that miracle in the church. But what happened from that was you came back home, and what evolved from there?
Well, I decided to start my business. I
Yeah.
decided, no more playing small. And part of that included like, I want to empower others. I worked as a school counselor and it was
Yeah.
a great job. I mean, it was fulfilling. I worked and I helped people find colleges and get college credit and all of the other things too, right? Like dig them out of bad grades and help them get out of trouble and some very heavy things as well. I mean, it was a very high needs school and there were a lot of things that I was dealing with. And I just, I hadn't seen before this connection of I had been a photographer my entire life, but I had never seen how I could have a big impact on others with my photography. And I knew that as a counselor, that was something I could do. I could have a really big impact on people and change their lives, and as entrepreneurs, that's why we become entrepreneurs, I think, because we want to serve and have an impact in bigger ways for others and for ourselves in the process. So,
Right.
yeah.
And so in your photography business, which is evolving and growing and changing,
Yes. Yeah.
but when you started out as a photographer, what was the biggest surprise in how you could change people's lives with photography?
Oh my gosh, I have so many stories. I talk about the Camino de Santiago being the way of the stars, and I have as many stories from the Camino as there are stars in the sky. And I feel the same is true with my portrait sessions and with my
Yeah.
clients. Women often tell me they hate the way they look in photographs.
Mm-hmm.
Hate,
Yeah.
hate. Like that is a strong
That is a
word.
strong word.
Yeah. But women say it all the time, unapologetically. And I was
Yeah.
like,
And what a thing to say to ourselves, right?
right,
Yeah.
right.
What,
And if I can get women to love a photograph of themselves, sometimes they have never seen a photograph that they love. And so that transformation
mm,
that they had, that they have, it changes them forever.
they're stepping into their light, they're stepping into their strength. It's
Yeah.
like there's no playing small once they've fallen in love with
No,
that photo.
no.
So I love
And
that.
I created this system, and I would work with women for a half day. And I
Uh-huh.
thought, okay, this is amazing what I can do and the impact that I can have in a half day. And I grew my business very quickly. Like you said, I then also was the managing director for eWomen Network. I grew that chapter very quickly. And you were one of
Totally.
our gracious speakers, one of the first ones who came up,
I
which
was
was
very
so
happy to
great.
be there.
It was
Yeah.
so great.
Yeah.
And I decided, if I can have, this kind of impact and this kind of influence with women in a half day experience, what would it be like if I could share the proven practices that I have done personally in my life, that I have taught thousands of women and families and adults, working them through their processes, their life processes. If I could teach them those proven processes and couple that with success strategies, how much more impact and influence could I have to elevate women? Because one of the things that I am super passionate about, and I think you are too, Cami, elevating women. And it's like when the tide rises, all boats rise, you know? So it's just, yeah. So, yeah,
Yeah.
that's it.
So your work is really evolving now into a lot of self-leadership coaching.
Yes,
And
yes.
what does self-leadership mean to you?
So for me, self leadership is, I've got these 7 foundational pieces. And what
Mm-hmm.
I do is I get momentum going in women. We know the statistics around women in business, and
Yeah.
less than 2% of women who run companies earn over $1 million. Just over 10%. This year, we're celebrating that just over 10% of CEOs of Fortune 500 companies are women. When I graduated from college,
Mm-hmm.
like 5 or 6 years ago, no,
Yeah, me too.
yeah, a woman couldn't get a business loan without a man signing.
Yeah, it's
And my
crazy.
daughter, when she graduated from college, a woman couldn't join um, a combat role in the military, which left women out of the highest levels, the highest impact, the highest pay. And
Mm-hmm.
so when it's not our fault. It's not our
Yeah.
fault as women, but it's our problem because nobody else is going to change it. And so when we can learn these things that sometimes men have learned, just coming up through a system that is um, designed for them, designed for
Mm-hmm.
their success,
Yeah.
women, I can share what I have learned through my leadership journey. I mean,
Yeah.
I've had so much different leadership, and I've got, these different modules and processes. So it's personal and professional, and
So
yeah.
one of the things that pops up for me on that is, I mean, and I do believe we evolve and we grow and we have unique challenges to overcome just culturally.
Yeah.
What do you think some of what's the most important thing that we could be doing as women that helps us break through um, into that new space? You know what I'm saying? It's like that, well, not even new space. How do we break through into that new way of being?
Hmm. Well, I think it's that for me, I
Hmm.
believe that it's courageous action.
Yeah.
And it's awareness. I mean, it's like how far back do we go, right? Like it's awareness of our own thoughts and beliefs. And then it's also like alignment with those thoughts and beliefs. Like, if I would have never said, going back to the Camino de Santiago, like, oh, I can't take a year and go on a sabbatical,
Uh-huh.
or
Right.
I'm not gonna walk on the Camino de Santiago. Like, I would have never had these experiences. And I
Yeah.
think as women, we tend to limit ourselves. And we've been limited in our culture, no doubt. And I think it's time for us to step into our brilliance, step into our own awareness and alignment of who we are and who we are meant to be, because we're not meant to play small. Nobody
Right.
is. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I like that. I like that. It's the courageous action. that, it takes that courage, that action. I actually heard a great quote this morning. I'm not going to remember. It's something to do with the consciousness levels, but I'm not going to remember the specifics of it. But they said that the piece that most people skip over is the courage. They don't step into their courage when they become conscious of what they're wanting to shift and change in their lives, and how they're showing up. They're conscious of the wisdom inside, but that next level really takes courage to step into it. The shifts in our businesses, the shifts in what we're doing. I mean, the Camino de Santiago is such a great example. I mean, all of these are that courage and what it takes to do that. So I love that. I totally love that.
Thank you.
Why is self-leadership so empowering to women?
Because when women realize who we are and what we have to offer,
yeah, it's unique and special.
It is. It's like, it's so powerful. And it just, I mean, you can see the look on my face. I know in a podcast you can't see the look on my face, but it just lights me up to see another woman being lit up. Like, and there's no competition. There's room for all of us because all of us have different gifts to share. And when we do that, I remember there was something, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago, the Dalai Lama said that it's the Western woman who's going to save the world. And I remember thinking, like, are you kidding me? Now we got to do that too?
All the things we have to do. I truly believe it, though. I mean, I always say that, women's wisdom's the medicine our earth needs, right?
Yes.
It's the healing. It's the different ways of doing things.
Yes.
The impact of us stepping into our light is really big.
Exactly. And I feel like when we do that, the change, the ripples, and the thing that I love about entrepreneur women is there's this big shift for us as, like, making money, earning money with the skills, the value, all that we offer is like that transaction is it's like, it's giving and receiving value. That's what it is, and money is the way we measure it. And it's so powerful when a woman is like, yes, I created this. Like, we're creators. We create things, it's how we roll. So
it's awesome.
Yeah.
It's awesome. How do we integrate more self-leadership into our lives?
Well, I think that goes back really to the awareness, to really being aware. One of the things to awareness, I would say awareness and gratitude, gratitude for who we are, the gifts that we have. And I do a lot of journaling. I do a lot of meditation. And so I think really diving deep into that and that awareness and the gratitude, I mean, I'm all day long just so delighted with the life I get to live as an entrepreneur.
I love that word.
I do too.
Yeah. The word I've been playing with a lot recently is awe. And looking at every day is, where am I seeing awe? Where am I experiencing awe in my day? And it's just such a beautiful practice to be more cognizant and pause in those moments of awe. It's kind of delighted. It's like, where are you feeling delighted? It's the same sort of thing. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that a lot. So let's talk about the evolution of your business, because, and it happens for everybody. It's like our businesses start as one thing and they evolve and they grow and we evolve, and there's the next level of our business, and it just it continues. I call it the spiral journey of our businesses, right? I mean, we have the spiral journey of our lives, but we also have the spiral journey in our businesses. What have you learned about transitions, and what have been some of the biggest challenges you've faced in that transition? But what are the lessons that have been accompanying that?
The biggest challenge, I think, really, is a lot of what I teach. In, like, I mean, I've been a consultant and a coach and a counselor for 20 plus years.
Yeah.
So it's like, of course I can do this, And so so for me, it was really to have that own and to have really, I think, to put a structure around that. Like, what
Yeah.
are all of I know I have all of this knowledge, I have some
Right.
experience,
So
you
many
know,
stories and experiences that you've lived in your whole life. How do you bring that
yes,
together?
yes. So bringing it together and putting it into a system, which I have,
Uh-huh.
that is manageable and not just me, like, here it comes and you're going to get it all. Um,
Yeah.
Having a way to deliver it so
Yeah.
that other women, business owners, educators, corporate women can receive the benefit from it,
Yeah.
from the lessons that I've learned. Yeah.
Excellent. 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 So what have been your biggest lessons through that?
Well, I think it's really to sounds kind of funny, but it's like keep breathing
Yeah.
because it's gonna be okay.
Yeah.
I've done this before. I jumped into the entrepreneurial journey, like literally jumped in just a couple years before the pandemic. My
Hmm.
business grew very quickly, and this one is too. So
Yeah.
it's like that, really being open
Hmm.
and clear about what I
Yeah.
want and who I want to serve and how I want to
Yeah.
serve.
I love it. I love it. So
Thank
what's
you.
next for you? What are you planning? What are the big initiatives that you're really putting focus on right now?
Well, I've got my leadership accelerator, which
Hmm.
is I'm working with small groups of women. I also have, oh, this is my first time saying it publicly. I have a book to write, and it's not the kind of book that I thought I needed to write.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a book that's more of a fiction fact. It's fiction.
Mhm.
And so that will be coming soon.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
That's
Thank you.
very exciting.
Yeah.
So where can people learn more about you and your work, Julie? What's the best way to connect with you?
So I have a private Facebook community. That
Huh.
is a great way to connect with me. It's Leadership Accelerator for Women, and
Mhm.
people can join that. I go live every Monday evening. And yeah, I share practices, little bite size practices and strategies and that kind of thing. So that's one place. And then also my website, of course, which is julieulstrup.com. Um, or, actually my Instagram has not changed over to Leadership Accelerator yet. It is
Yeah.
still Julie Ulstrup photo, but that's there. And actually I'm on Threads now too.
Oh, you are. Very
I'm
good.
on Threads. So
Good for
yeah.
you. I've just been like, yeah, I don't want to be in another space. I've got enough social media going,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. I'm also on LinkedIn. LinkedIn. So those would be the
yeah,
two. LinkedIn and Facebook are my
yeah,
um, social media spaces. And then of course my website, which is my
very
name,
good.
julieelstrup.com. Yeah.
Very good. So the final question I always close with are what are three pearls of wisdom you'd like to leave us with today?
Three pearls of wisdom. Well, I would say live with courage and
Mhm.
courage, that courage being from our heart, from, that Brene Brown talks about, coming from the Latin. Live with courage and gratitude, awe, like you
Yep.
said, Cami,
Hmm.
awe and delight. Like, live in those places
Yeah.
and really notice so that, living courageously in our heart, noticing what brings you alive. What what is your brilliance, and how do you put that out in the
I love it. I love it.
Thank you.
Well, Julie,
Thank
this has
you.
been so much fun. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. Thank you, Cami.
Yeah. Well, we will be seeing you soon.
Terrific. Thanks.